So ice cream shops. Now, how did you come across that? Because it's very specific.
Yeah, it is very specific. And so I've done this with other brands before. We have other brands as part of our agency that that we run. One of them is for campgrounds because my wife and I, when we're not in Europe, we're over in North America. We're both
Mhm.
Canadian, so we spend about half the year in Canada, half the year in the United States, and we
Right,
RV full time. So we're visiting campgrounds all the time. So
right.
in many ways, we understand campgrounds so well. Like we
Mhm.
understand what kinds of things are people looking for when they book a campground.
Yeah.
What kind of information do we need? What kind of information should be on the website? So that was an existing brand. And in the last 3 years, we've grown
Mhm.
that to 84 clients from since 2019 because we started taking this approach that we are going to laser focus that brand on campgrounds, right? And now all of those campgrounds are on a monthly service plan. So we
Mhm.
get paid every month to service those campground websites. Um, and so now with ice cream shops, the question was, okay, well, okay, so it took 3 years and we had some challenges, obviously. We learned some things along the way. We made some mistakes along the way. So how quick could we start over and reproduce results like that? So that's kind of
Okay.
what we're doing with ice cream shops. So I chose ice cream shops, number one, because I think I'm addicted to ice cream, but also because it's a really simple business model. You buy ice cream from a supplier or you make it in house, you put it in a bowl or a cup and you exchange money for it. It's not
Mhm.
like having to learn the dental industry or learning about lawyers or learning about real estate, right? So ice cream
Right.
shops were just kind of the simplest and easiest kind of method of attack.
Mhm. Fine. But in both cases, it was something that's close to you that you already know something about. So that makes it
Right.
easier to pick it.
Yeah.
So would that be your advice as well? Just to look around, what do you like, and is there something in that hobby maybe?
Yeah. So like what industries would you say that you know inside and out? Like, so for instance, maybe a musician
Mhm.
might know about instruments. They might know about music lessons. They might know about sound systems. They might know about manufacturers. So you could choose one of those, right? Like if you're a musician, you might be the go-to person for music stores that offer music lessons.
Right.
Um, it could be something like, maybe you grew up and your parents had a business, right? And you understand the ins and outs. This is when you call this person, this is their busy season, this is their slow season, these are the common suppliers in that industry.
Right.
It could also be like something you've worked in before. So I worked in retail before I started my agency in 2011.
Mhm.
So, and I worked in 3 different categories of retail. So it's possible I could have chosen one of those categories and said, okay, I understand this category of retail. I understand who the suppliers are. I understand how the wholesale chain works. I understand how retail works. I understand how the delivery process works. So you could choose something that you have that experience in. Alternatively, like we did with ice cream shops, we just pick something that the business model seems so simple that I should be able to understand it from the outside, right?
Mhm.
And so that could be something like something that you frequent very often. Like one of the things that we do while we're traveling is we always find ice cream shops. So we call it research,
Right.
but we've been to dozens of ice cream shops in dozens of countries, and so in dozens of areas within those countries, and they're all pretty much the same. You choose your flavor, they put it in a cone, they hand it to you, and you pay them. So in that sense, for somebody who doesn't have a specific model already, a specific industry, then maybe that's an opportunity to say, okay, what is a really simple industry, something like hairdressers, right? They're going to offer you a service, you walk in, you get that service, you pay them, and you walk out, right?
Right.
um, or it might be something like in your portfolio, you said you've worked with government agencies before. So maybe it's a specific type of government agency that you're going to want to go after. right? Maybe it's municipal, maybe it's in the city, maybe it's in the county, maybe it's federal, maybe it's international. What are the categories? And then how can you narrow that down to something you might already have some experience in? Does any of that make sense for you?
It does, yes. And I think it's very interesting because you're not always aware of something you know a lot about.
Right.
I think for you with ice cream, it had to click at a certain moment, like, wait a minute, maybe this could be another brand. So maybe I just have to sit down a day, or just write along everything I do and see if there's a repetition somewhere, or something that could be a niche.
Yeah.
So that I think it's about awareness at this moment.